Hello, welcome to another episode of Focus on Tomorrow. I'm your host, Alma. Focus on Tomorrow is a nonprofit organization located in Chicago, Illinois. Find us on the web at www.focus-on-tomorrow.org, or you can email us at info@focus-on-tomorrow.org. Today we have Laura Jane Hyde from Gilda's Club Chicago. Oh, thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
So let's get started. What is the mission behind Gilda's Club?
Gilda's Club's mission is to make sure that all people impacted by cancer are empowered by knowledge, strengthened by action, and sustained by community.
Can you tell us a little bit about Gilda Radner and who this organization is named after?
Sure. Gilda Radner was one of the founding members of Saturday Night Live. She got her start at Second City, and she gave us the example of how one could live with cancer. She was diagnosed with cancer and was very public about her experience, and really inspired others to be able to talk about what they were going through and to find support through things like improv and talking with people that knew what others were going through.
So who founded the Gilda Club Chicago?
So Gilda's Club Chicago was founded by Anne Lurie, who also named Lurie Children's Hospital, Andrew Alexander, who is the president and CEO of Second City, and Dr. Steve and Candace Rosen, who were affiliated with Northwestern University's cancer program at the time.
How successful has Gilda's Club been in spreading across the country?
We've been successful, but not successful enough because every community doesn't have the resource that we provide for people impacted by cancer. There are about 45 of our affiliates located across the country. We go by Gilda's Club, and other communities do that as well. And then our sister organizations go by Cancer Support Community, which is our umbrella organization.
Tell us a little bit about the support groups offered to people who are diagnosed with cancer.
Sure. So we offer wellness groups for people diagnosed with cancer, and that brings adults together who have different types of cancer because the experience is really about the cancer and not the specific diagnosis. We also realize that when cancer happens, it happens to the entire family. So we offer family groups that are for adult sons, daughters, spouses, whoever in the family is looking for support. We offer networking groups that are based on the type of cancer that someone has, and those are more medically treatment question-based. And then we also offer bereavement support. And then we have children's programming that also follows that same model. We have kids support that actually keeps both children diagnosed with cancer and children with cancer in the family together, and then we offer bereavement support. And all of our groups are facilitated by licensed mental health professionals because we need that kind of structure to make sure that everyone in the group gets and receives support.
So you mentioned that there's also support for family.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it important to have family support?
So when you think about a loved one and their primary caretaker, so perhaps it's a husband and a wife. So if you are responsible for taking care of someone, they're going through treatment, they have kind of their course of action, they've got their plan, and you're there supporting them, and you're going through your own journey. So you're scared, you're angry, you perhaps want to yell at your spouse because they're not picking up the socks, and all of a sudden you don't feel that you can yell at them about picking up the socks because they have cancer. So cancer impacts everyone that's within the system and support and loving care of someone that's actually been diagnosed. And so by giving both sides the option and opportunity to talk about their experience and learn from others, it helps heal and support everyone involved in the family.
So not only do you offer support groups, you also offer yoga and art classes. How do these classes help cancer patients fight cancer?
So yoga is a great example. Let's say you belong to a health club and you go through treatment and all of a sudden you have a wig. And you start doing yoga at the health club and all of a sudden you're hot and you want to take your wig off, and you might not feel comfortable doing that at the Y or at the East Bank Club. At Gilda's Club, you come as you are. You can wear your wig, you can take your wig off. We also know that people going through cancer treatment have specific limitations sometimes based on the treatment that they have. Our yoga instructors know that. So if you're not able to do downward dog, nobody looks at you funny. And the instructors can help you modify the pose so that you can still get the most out of the practice. In regards to art, not everyone wants to talk about their feelings using words, but art is a wonderful way to communicate what you're going through. And we see that both for the adults and for the kids. And you start to express yourself and tell stories through your art. And the nice thing about Gilda's Club is if you come for those activities, if you come for cooking demonstrations, if you come for a knitting class, you can talk about cancer, or you might choose not to talk about cancer. Everybody knows why you're at the club, and so it kind of removes the elephant in the room, and it allows you to discuss things as you wish.
Yeah, that's nice, you know, being able to go somewhere and just not being focused on what, you know, keeps you down the rest of the day. That's nice.
Correct.
You also have team programs that are designed to help young people with cancer experience normal moments. What kind of an impact do these programs have on these young lives?
They have a tremendous impact. We have a teen essay contest, and we are able to offer prizes, and each year we get about 50 entries from teens who write about their experience both with a loved one and as a teen with cancer. And when they come and they read their essays, oftentimes there isn't a dry eye in the house. It really offers teens the opportunity to speak in their own voice and have others hear it. Teen camps are another wonderful example. We do 2 week-long camps, one for the kids and one for the teens. Teens come to the club, and so the first day they're put in groups with people that, you know, our Noogie Land Children's Program Coordinator is very thoughtful in terms of how she puts those groups together. And so they meet, and then they spend 3 days doing excursions into the community, and by the 5th day, and oftentimes before the 5th day, they're exchanging email addresses, they're texting. They now have a group of 30, 40 other teens that know what they're going through, and they can reach out to them, and we've seen bonds form. We've had teens start relationships. So it really does, you know, it's a great way of just helping teens be teens. Even though it's been a long time, I remember how hard it is to be a teen, and to have cancer impact your life at that time, it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, and then you start feeling like the oddball in school, and you know, this is really nice, you know,
Exactly.
where teens could go in and just feel normal, feel good.
Yeah.
Can you think of a specific story where a teenager was able to escape the burden of their illness while enrolled in one of your programs?
Sure. We had a Walter Payton student who got involved when her mother had brain cancer. And so she came and she helped out, and it really helped. We heard from her school how much it helped her, and she went on to college, and we've heard she's doing very well. And we did a postcard that year of different member stories, and her story talked about how Gilda's Club helped her. We had a teen that really grew up at the club. He was coming to the club for probably 3 or 4 years before he actually started the teen camp program, and he one night was texting a teen late at night, and his mom was overhearing kind of the conversation, because it was also conversation, and you know, at first she was worried, but then she realized that he was just reaching out to another teen that knew what he was going through. And so just having those moments where you can see that stress removed from the face of a teen, or you come in and you see them interacting and having fun, you know, it's made a difference.
Yeah, this is really nice. I like this program.
Good.
You know, it just creates like a nice, like, sort of like family. It's such a bad, you know, why the family is created, but like it's nice, you know, to be able to have someone that knows exactly what you're going through.
My grandfather was diagnosed with cancer when I was a teen, and I remember just wondering how my grandmother could take care of him, and the experience was very different for myself and my sister and brother. And years later, when I was at Gilda's Club, there was an occasion for me to tell my story, and so I needed to call my dad and ask him some of the details, and it was amazing to me that all the details weren't readily accessible because we never talked about it. Right. So I know, based on my 17 years experience, talking about it really helps. It really, really does.
Do you also, like, when you bring in families who need support from like a relative that has cancer, do you speak, like, sort of not teach, but like talk to them about how to handle a certain situation that maybe their son, you know, just feels like they just lose hope? Do you guys do that?
So when someone comes to the club, the way that we get them involved is through what we call a customized membership plan. So we know everyone's experience is different, and we also know the value of telling their story, Because when you think about it, so oftentimes we're so busy telling our own stories. So when someone comes in, it's a little bit like StoryCorps. We ask them a series of questions and they tell their story and they talk about what type of support would be helpful. And so in the moment, we can suggest different resources, but it's also a way of getting them engaged. And the reason that we use the word member is because that's what people are in a community. They're members of a community. Membership is entirely free. Everything that we offer, we provide completely free of charge to anyone that gets involved.
Nice. You also have programs designed for children, including Kids Camp and Noogie Days. Can you tell us a little bit about these programs?
Sure. And again, it's bringing children together and having them recognize that they're not different, that there are other children going through what they're going through. And it's really brought home by stories where we'll have a child who's going through chemotherapy, and we'll have a child next to her whose mom is going to begin treatment, and the little girl whose mom is going to go through treatment can actually ask the girl, well, does it hurt when your hair falls out? She's too afraid to ask her mom that question. Or we'll have kids that will be talking about how their families are being supported, and one child will talk about the fact that it's really great that they can still have family dinners because people bring food over and their mom's too sick to cook. And a child sitting next to them will be like, well, I just thought we were poor. So the way kids process information is entirely different than the way adults do. And so bringing kids together and having them talk openly and having those facilitators be able to lead those discussions, it just creates this whole different understanding and relief really on the part of the kids to understand what is really happening, and no, you didn't cause cancer in your brother or sister because you punched them, those kind of things. And then we also go into the classrooms. So we have Cancer in the Classroom, where we go into any classroom impacted by cancer and deliver a free program. We've been up as far north as Libertyville, out to Romeoville, down into Indiana. We go anywhere that we can help a classroom with the child's experience or the teacher's experience. And again, this is all free of charge.
So, as you mentioned, this is, it's free to the public. How does Gilda's Club make money to keep its doors open?
So we don't really make money. We actually fundraise. So we're not trying to turn a profit at the end of the year. We're just trying to cover the costs of what it costs us to operate. So we have a big governing board event each year that typically takes place in June. We have an associate board that does a number of events throughout the course of the year. We have individuals that are able to support what we do, and then we also apply for grants. We don't receive any money from the government. It's all funded philanthropically through the support of generous individuals and companies in our community.
So one of your fundraising events, it's called Gilda Palooza. And it's coming up July 9th, actually.
Yes,
so
yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about this event?
Sure. We have 3 bands that perform on a stage in a setting this year. We're at the Columbia Yacht Club, and it's just a nice night of music and fun and fellowship and people having a good time and learning more about what we do. We really make sure that whenever anyone comes to one of our events, they have a good time, but they also learn about what we do, because they in turn then can tell the next person that they know diagnosed with cancer about what we do. And that's what we're all about, is spreading the awareness so no one has to go through this alone.
Right. So to our viewers out there, this is a live call-in show. So if you have any questions or comments, you could call us now at 312-738-1060. So how close are we finding a cure for cancer?
Well, we're not in the business of curing, so I hope that we're close. The cures are for people diagnosed tomorrow. We're for people diagnosed today. And I hope we're close, because I would like to be put out of business. Cancer impacts everyone, so quite honestly, I don't know if it will ever be cured, but the good news, and the good news over the past 17 years of my doing this type of work, is people are living longer, and people are becoming survivors. And they're becoming survivors of a cancer that maybe it was a death sentence years ago. So as people live longer, there'll still be a need for Gilda's Club, because the long-term survivorship impact and issues are just beginning to come to light.
Right. So can you tell me about your partnership with Second City?
Sure. Second City has been one of our most phenomenal partners. They support our efforts through our annual event, through the support of a table. They are part of our Associate Board's annual Night of a Thousand Noogies, where we bring Chicago celebrities on stage at the Park West and they perform at the Second City. The Second City does improv workshops for our members, which they love. We've done programming in the hospitals as well. And then they also host each year one of our Red Door Society receptions, which is our annual major giving society, donors that give us $1,000 or more, and we get a behind-the-scenes look at Second City and stay for a show.
It's nice.
Yeah.
So can you tell me like what Chicago famous person has come out to it?
For the Night of a Thousand
Yeah,
Noogies?
yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
gosh, we've had a lot. We've had Jerry Azuma. We've had Ron Kittle. We've had Ryan Chiavarelli. We've had Nina Chantel. We had Jane Lynch back in the day. We've had Jeff Garland. We've had Daryl Hammond. We've had Roz Varon. We've had the Ponce brothers and father. Do you want me to keep going? We've had a lot,
That's
and we're
a
looking for
lot.
more.
Wow.
And actually, anyone that gets involved with Gilda's Club, volunteer, donor, member, I think they're all celebrities.
That's a lot of stuff. So how long have you been there actually?
Well, I think it's good. Hopefully, everybody. It's 17 years. So the club
Wow.
opened on Valentine's Day in 1998, and I came in July of that year.
What made you wanna join, work at Gilda's Club?
So I had spent 5 years at 2 different organizations doing fundraising, and because the organization was new, it was an exciting opportunity to build something. And what has kept me is the mission. Every time I get the chance to meet someone or talk to someone about what we do, and I see the difference that it makes, and we're still growing. So there's still more people for us to reach. We probably reach 5% of the population. We're not happy until we get to 99%.
It's nice. And I know it's not only you.
Oh,
that, you know,
absolutely
that's,
not.
like,
If it was, it wouldn't be this successful, trust me.
So how big is your team?
So we have a team of 18 staff members. We have a governing board of 30. We have an associate board of 46. We have over 100 volunteers. We have thousands of donors, and it really takes everyone in those groups to be able to run the organization. And it also takes every single member, because the first time somebody comes through, they need to connect with somebody. They need to feel that warmth and that embrace of what we do. And so everybody that comes through counts.
It's nice. You know, before the show started, I was asking, are there any dogs involved?
Dogs?
Yes, dogs.
Well, you know, Gilda did have Sparkle, which was her dog. So we have some stuffed Sparkles, not stuffed dogs, but stuffed animals around the club. We've talked about doing pet therapy, and we've talked about different opportunities, and the challenge is making sure that everyone is comfortable in a setting with animals. So we haven't done too much of that. We've had suggestions that we have a staff pet, but then that means I have to take it home, and I have trouble taking care of myself, so that's not such a hot idea. So, yeah.
So, what roles do your team fill in the hospitals?
So right now we currently have satellites at Northwestern, Rush, Mount Sinai, Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oak Lawn, and we'll be starting up at Lurie Children's. And those individuals, we have one staff member at each site, their site managers and coordinators. So they put together all of the programming that we do. We do 30 hours a week in each of those sites, and they build relationships with all the hospital personnel that could possibly refer people to use the club. Excuse me.
So, how can if anybody chooses to volunteer, how could they help at Gilda's Club?
There's a lot of different ways. We need people at the front desk. We need people setting up for activities. We need people making calls. We need people going into the community. And the other thing that we like to do is really find out what volunteers want to do, what their special interests are, and bring those talents into the community. We're very flexible. We can make space for anybody.
Do you get about how many volunteers do you get per se a year?
So we probably get anywhere from 60 to 100 new volunteers a year, and then we keep an active volunteer base of those that have been active with us for a while, but we know people's lives are busy, so sometimes the volunteer has to take a year off. They're always welcome back. We always stay in touch with them. It's kind of the Don Corleone method of volunteer management. Once you're part of the family, you're in the family.
So before the show, I got a chance to talk to you, and you have a very positive spirit.
Thank you.
Is everyone at Gilda's Club like you?
Oh gosh, no, thank God. thank goodness. That would be a disaster. But the one way that we are all very, very similar is we're all committed to the mission. And every day we come in, we know why we're doing what we're doing.
How important is it to keep up such a positive attitude, when you're working for a organization that helps cancer? How important is it, just to come in and just feel good about what you do and know why you do it?
Well, I think feeling good about what you do and knowing why you do it are somewhat different than necessarily what people think a positive attitude means. I think we're all very realistic. This past weekend, we just learned that we lost a member very close to many of us, and so I think I think that what we're able to do is really be in the moment and live in the moment and recognize that the only moment that we have is the moment that we're in. And so I think that creates a different, somewhat slightly different work environment than what other people experience.
Right. Right. Do any cancer survivor patients ever come back to volunteer?
Yes, absolutely. And also children that have been through the program. So it's a family of 3 kids. The mom passed away in '08. I was very close to her. And those kids have come back since and volunteered and done their service hours at the club. And their dad, who I'm still very close to, said, well, are you sure? Do you really want to go back there? And they wanted to come back. And that is one of the most gratifying moments.
What's the youngest you've had come back?
To volunteer?
Yeah, or just, come and,
Oh, gosh. We had 2 young men who got involved, and they were children at the time, and their dad was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and so they came to the club and got involved in their kids group while their dad and their mom got involved in the respective groups. And so their dad passed away, and they stayed in the bereavement program, and they went through our Day of Remembrance, and they painted a stone and left it at the club. And we do an annual Day of Remembrance, and we have stones and a remembrance fountain. And this stone is very different because it's not one of the smooth stones. It's a stone from their last family vacation in Wyoming, and it says Nick's dad on it. And they left it for us because that's what the club meant. And so they moved on, and then they were moving to Milwaukee, and they came in and they did a film of the club. So they took their recorder and went through the club because they wanted to make sure they always remembered Gilda's club.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite experience while working at Gilda's club?
Every time I meet a new member, every time I get to talk to somebody about why they're getting involved, it never ceases to amaze me how people can go through such an experience with such grace. And I joke that I've never mastered that graceful thing. That's why I'm still here 17 years. One of these days I'll get it down.
How is Gilda Ratner's presence still at the center?
Well, our amazing sense of humor, clearly. But we also have this wonderful mural when you walk in, and there's Gilda's characters painted at the theater at the lake, right at Fullerton and the lake. That brings a smile to people's face. It's also a way for us to introduce her characters to people that maybe don't know Gilda. And then as you turn and walk up the stairs, there's an amazing screenshot of Gilda on stage at the Second City. It's her profile and her hands clasped. And then when you walk into the library, there's a photo of Gilda with some of the original cast members. So, yeah, the street was renamed Honorary Gilda's Club Way, so we have a sign. We have a couple signs in the club that say that as well.
What's your favorite Gilda's Ratner character and skit?
Rosanna, Donna. It's always something. Why didn't they say everything turns out the right way the first time as opposed to it's always something? That's what I'm saying.
Oh my god, that's great. Oh my god.
I don't think I'm going to get called anytime soon for you.
This is such an amazing organization.
Thank you.
Honestly, it's really nice that you do this and you have such a positive attitude, because cancer is just such a, it's something just hard to imagine that something like that exists. How can people find out about Gilda's Club?
So they can call me at 312-464-9900, and I will take every single person that calls me on a tour. I normally charge a penny for those, and I'm offering a free one-time only. I hope my phone rings off the hook. It's extension 15 if you call after hours. But our website, gildasclubchicago.org, we have a terrific website. Call us at any time, and we will happily share with you what we're all about.
Nice. So we have 1 minute left. Is there any last words?
No one has to go through cancer alone. That's why Gilda's Club exists. If you're listening to this right now, the reason that you're watching is because it's time for you to call the club and get the support that you need, and know that we will do everything that we can to support you through this. And thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. So again, this is Focus on Tomorrow. Focus on Tomorrow is a nonprofit located in Chicago, Illinois. Find us on the web at www.focus-ontomorrow.org, or you can email us at info@focus-on-tomorrow.org. I'm Alma, and thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
For just coming on here and showing support. And come back next week for another Focus on Tomorrow episode.
Wait, me? Oh, you mean other people. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.